Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're gonna talk about Panasonic Lumix S1R II. So let's dive deep into this. So this puppy S1R II, it's $3,300 or roughly it should be around 3 lakh rupees in India, plus and minus few percent. So this is a 44 megapixel full frame BSI CMOS sensor, not stacked or maybe partially stacked at best case scenario. And this has the L mount alliance, which now has reached into maturity. So we're gonna talk at the last why that is important. And this puppy can do 8K 30 frame per second, 4K 120, a little bit of crop, and it can do more than enough frame rates that I do not think it's worth going over it. More than good enough, 10 bits and a certain level of advanced formats. And it has, because again it has such a heavy video system, this puppy now has CFast type B. Now you may be like, don't they support USB-C out? Yes, they do support it, but some of them are locked or not cooked yet, because they are saying it may come in a firmware. Again, we're gonna talk further about that. But again, primarily if you want to buy it today and achieve everything it has, you must rely on CFast type B to unlock all the advanced video functions. And again, if you do not, if your video selection does not require the oomph that type B has, you can still utilize UHS2, meaning if you are using something low bit rate, you can redundant record on both of the media. That is a good thing. It's not like, oh, it can only choose either or. No, you can use a redundant recording on both of them if the bitrate supports it. And this puppy can do 40 FPS burst, which is a huge thing at freaking 44 megapixel. And if you are not happy with the rolling shutter performance, you can utilize 10 FPS burst. So quite a good stuff. And they have done a lot of polish in terms of body. Now this whole launch can be summarized in one thing: improvements. Basically, there is a lot of subtle improvement in terms of polish and refinements. For example, the buttons, they are huge, so you can actually use them. Rotary systems, everything is huge. Things that people do not want to accidentally rotate it, they have locks. So everything about this is, somebody looked at it, is like, okay, what people were complaining, let's fix that. So refined. Now primary upgrade is the reduction of weight. You have to understand, as you get older, you have to realize your muscles do not last as long as you would expect them to. So if like, okay, this is a big daddy, I can handle this puppy. When you're 25 years old, I got this. 35 years old, I don't got this. So people were complaining that even though you have a quote-unquote mirrorless, it has the same weight as, like, old school DSLR. So a lot of weight reduction has been done with better alloy, better structures. A lot of improvement has been done. So it's phenomenally light. Basically, it will fatigue you less, because be mindful, this is just the body. You also have to add the weight of lens. So every gram saved matters a lot. So that is done. Now it has this one feature that people are like, whoa, how it's being achieved: cropless electronic image stabilization. So the idea is, generally you take a basically footage from the sensor, and then you zoom in digitally, and then you move the sensor basically image field around to achieve image stabilization. And if you do not do that, you will have too much warping. So how the heck this company solved that issue? Well, they realized digital imaging pipeline has a layer, extra layer, known as lens correction layer. In that layer, they generally try to remove some of the component. One of the primary component they would like to remove is barrel distortion or pin cushion distortion. So both distortions are like, one requires positive correction, one requires negative correction, but they require correction. So lens is actually giving a much wider field of view. Your sensor is capturing much wider field of view. The footage you are getting is cropped. And this is the damn footage without anything on or off, because again, that is happening on an optical pipeline. So there we have the data. What if we collected that lens data, use that to basically ask AI to, hey, can you fix this? And that allowed that's why it is only working with right now first party lens, because again, they have to train based on lens, and that allows them basically crop less image stabilization, because again, the data is there. It's almost like how you have 16:9, most video formats are 16:9, you still have sensor on top, on and bottom also, so you can utilize that data also. So same is available here. So it's clever. It's like somebody actually looked into it, whole optical pipeline, and it's like, hey, we have this unutilized space. Like for example, all sensors, like a digital sensor, if you look at it, they have black pixels. Now pixels are normal pixels, they are just coated black. You're like, why would you do that? Well, those pixels become what we call thermal pixels, meaning based on your ambient temperature, let's say 20 degrees Celsius, 30 degrees Celsius, 40 degrees Celsius, the sensors have a unique signature. Black pixels are the signature feedback loop. Basically, they give you what the sensor noise should be if the temperature is this. So that goes into that correctional algorithm. So there are a lot of subtle things like that. So this cropless electronic image detection is another subtle thing that somebody's like, hey, we were throwing that data away, why not we use it? So that's clever. And another minor thing that I have no idea why the heck it's not mandatory or default by all three major manufacturers. Logical battery box. Only Fuji does this logical system where they do not have like a weird thing where it's like, what if you remove the battery? It's like, why? What if you have a contacts there rather than removing the battery? And Panasonic is like, what if you went one step better? What is the result? Well, you have 3 batteries. So 2 puppy on this puppy and 1 in the body. If you are doing a long video recording, you will run out of battery. So the idea is you're gonna run out of the battery in the basically battery box first, and then you pull the battery out and you're like, how the camera will running? It will keep running based on internal system. So you do not have a interruption. You can have one very long video file at very high resolution and you can keep swapping battery. So for certain niche use case scenario, it's like shut up, take money. So that's very good. Another aspect is pixel shift. Now Panasonic is genuinely good. Like there are some good engineering in Panasonic, not in autofocus department, but in image stabilization. Like they were good, and I mean they were good in 2015, kind of good. They were damn ahead. And even now, like if you have a Panasonic camera with a Panasonic lens image stabilization, Panasonic IBUS, and Panasonic electronic image stabilization, you can handheld a telephoto lens on Panasonic and it will kick ass and take name all day. So it's genuinely good. So they're like, hey, what can we utilize this for? Well, we have this cool thing. What can we utilize it for? Well, all cameras have what we call a pseudo sensors, meaning we have a black and white sensor. The electronic element is black and white. So they're like, what if we put color filter on top of it? And it's like, okay, wouldn't that give you a checkered image? Yeah, it does. So we do what we call debayering algorithm. So you're guessing the color. The most accuracy in colors is green. You have 50% green data, 25% red data, 25% blue data. You have double green pixel. So if you can move pixel itself, basically the actual sensor element move like this, you can capture basically you capture green, move it 1 pixel, now you have red, move it 1 time else, you now get blue. You do it like this, quad motion. You need give or take 4 to 8 photos. Voila, now you have true image data. So that is what we call pixel shift. Common technology, but it's ludicrously difficult to do, and Sony still somehow requires you to actually take the photo and dump it into a computer algorithm for crunching. Panasonic is like, I got you on body. So because they have such an advanced image stabilization that you can actually do that, and it's fast enough, you can do that handheld. So you're gonna get 176 megapixel. Now, does that mean it has 176 megapixel detail? No. What does that mean? That simply means it has more resolving power compared to image noise. So your basically lens limit is now utilized. So if you have a lot of small details, you can actually see them. It's like, huh, it's actually good. Now again, let there be very clear. It's not 3 times better. It's just like a lot of small detail comes better exposed. And again, if you're doing product photography, shut up, take money. If you're doing any sort of architecture, shut up, take money. So those are very useful. Do not do it for anything moving or alive, because again, we are not static statues. So we do move. Again, this sensor is moving fast, but it's not that fast. And if you do any sort of trees and all that, it's gonna become like a long exposure photography, so to say. So there are certain limits, but for static objects, shut up, take money. And the fact that now you can do a handheld, you can try it for many things and you're gonna have good result. It also, again, I do hate every camera company for this, that they are not improving from 1990. It's like, okay, we're not going to improve from 1990, but what if we can allow you to utilize your awesome display that you have on your mobile phone rather than 1990s display that we have in the camera for some reason. So using USB-C, you can directly use Android or iPhone, and you utilizing the Lumix Flow app, you can have a monitor that you can actually see in the sunlight. So good stuff. And it also has USB basically SSD recording. And again, upgraded the dual hinge design, meaning a lot of people want flip out. Like I want flip out my whole camera. I selected this because of the flip out, and again the whole YouTube channel became successful because of that. And some people do not like that because they're like, hey, I'm a photographer kind of guy, I'm always behind the lens and I want my optical axis to be maintained. Boom, fold it back and you still have tilt and adjustability. So this satisfies both puppies. So a lot of subtle improvements that makes your life easier, your experience much more smooth. However, if you look at collaboration of all the data that is available on YouTube, yeah, it's a second best camera, so to say, globally speaking. Meaning, if you compare it to all players right now, it's a silver medal. I will not say called it gold medal. It's a silver medal. So autofocus is genuinely good compared to Lumix, but it's not equal to Sony, Nikon, or even Canon, because you have to understand both of these companies, like all these three companies, have caught up extremely well, and given the fact that they have so much years of experience, is genuinely good. And again, Panasonic's the biggest mistake they did is like the moment they announced the L mount and they jumped into full frame, they did not jump into phase detect. They were still like, what if we do contrast detect, and we went to bankrupt with this? They went bankrupt. So that's the reason that 2-3 years, not even 2-3 years, I think 5-6 years of lag from launch to switching to phase shift. They do not have the algorithms that are as good as Sony, Canon, or Nikon, but compared to what it was few years ago, it's genuinely good. Meaning, at this point in time, if you buy this, you will not be regretting it. A lot of people have bought Fuji cameras, and the moment you do video on Fuji, you will realize, especially now they are like reaching a good status, but like few years ago it was like, eh. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's good and you're not going to be sad or miserable, but it's not like, oh, like, it's going to do 40 frame per second. I'm going to take all 40 photos will be tack sharp. Nah. It's like there is a difference between this doing 40 versus Canon doing 40 or Sony doing 40. So fundamental difference. So you have to keep your expectation reasonable according to its price. By price point, it's fundamentally good. And this is the second Panasonic camera that is doing 32-bit float audio, which again, it's almost like going from full HD to 4K. It's fundamentally new way of recording audio that every audio pipeline is utilizing. Is basically you take the microphone that creates the analog data that goes into two analog to digital converter with different gain levels, and they create two data streams and they got married together, and that married file is classified as 32-bit float. You do no longer have clipping, you no longer have gain, there is no gain setting for you. It's put and forget. And like, what if it's quiet? Zoom it up. What if it's loud? Scale it down. It's always there. Data is always there. It's perfect. It's like HDR recording. Genuinely good. Big upgrades from that. And they are like, okay, what if our camera directly did that? Awesome. Shut up, take money. And they're like, yeah, what if you had to buy a super expensive device for it? I'm like, I get it for the first try. I'm not getting it now. It's like, dude, you have USB. There are more than 10 recorders from every brand, from Zoom, from Scorpio, from Mixpre, and Rode also has it. A lot of companies have it. Heck, this sort of the wireless mics also have 32-bit. They do not have 32-bit transmit, but I'm pretty sure they do not have transmit because no camera absorbs it. They could have been like, okay, what if we directly do that? So instead of buying this system, what if you use Zoom? What if you use Tascam? What if you used, Mixpre? Those are industrial grade, multi-channel and 32-bit float, much higher quality than you can do this, and just like shut up, take money. Flat out, if they had done that, this camera would have become shut up, take money. Because right now you're limited to this. If you had that, it would be like so close. So close. Then again, because again, L Mount Alliance also has DJI, which also makes a 32-bit wireless microphone. They can directly phone up. It's like, bro, can you please make a transmitter that also sends the data 32-bit? It would be like shut up, take money. Flat out, it would be such a big, change where you no longer have to rely on 32-bit audio recorders, which are just recording on board and then you're transmitting the file and syncing the file. None of that. The video has the file. So I'm still confused. It's like you are 90% there. 90%. The actual hardware, the basically silicon that is required to absorb 32-bit file and stitch it out to a video file, container, lock it into a container, it's done. That's the hard part. You have USB, little bit of jiggering, done, go home. So that's frustrating part. And another thing that more and more people are frustrated is that rolling shutter for 2025 is not good. Flat out. It basically will remind you older Sony cameras. It's like, yeah, not that good. Now again, why? Well, most likely they are trying to balance the price. They could get stacked sensor, but again, price will go up. So yeah. And again, they wanted 44 megapixels, so it's like, Now, is it bad? Again, if you compare it to modern launch system, and again, there is a tiny chance that A7 Mark V would be released. And again, 8K is one of those things that you're like, I want 8K. It's like, no, you want quality 4K. Well, most people do it, collect 8K, save it if they have the space for it, and then just like scale it down. So you want quality 4K. And more than enough times you will take quality 4K over a skewy 8K. And again, if you are doing any sort of music production, fast action scene, do not buy this. You will be shocked how quickly that you're like, hey, wait a minute, I need good rolling shutter performance. It's like, no, you need it. So yeah, it's like not great. So if you have very fast action requirement, action scenes, music videos, like again, this sort of static kind of scenario, go YOLO on it. Interview, go YOLO on it. Certain sort of low complexity advertisement, go YOLO on it. But anytime where you have a lot of action, zoom in, zoom out, and moving and all that, pan and shift, stay away. Fan mode is not fine-tuned. For some reason, this puppy has fan, which is awesome, GG. And again, that makes me comfortable recommending this puppy to Indian audience, because again, India is hot, like 50 degrees Celsius hot. They just forgot to freaking configure this thing. Even in auto mode, it overheats. And here's the deal, it's not fan's problem. Fan somehow stays always in the low mode, in auto mode. It's like, why? So go to system, put it manually into normal, your problem would be solved. Or go into manual mode, set it to high if you are doing outdoor in India. And then again, it will still overheat, but it will last much, much longer. Yeah, you will have audio problem, but again, that's why you're supposed to use secondary microphones and all that. So that is like, it's a weird thing that they did not like. If it would have asked is like optimize for sound, because again, it does have a sound to it, or it would have been like, okay, make sure it does not overheat. It's like, just set it to higher setting. It's like sloppy. And way too many things, like almost all YouTubers who got access to it is like, yeah, I asked about it, yeah, it's gonna come in a firmware, I asked about this is gonna come in firmware. It's like, why? Like, it's at one point we may think about adding it or something like this, one thing. Doing something like that for Apple ProRes, because again, there is a licensing agreement, it kind of makes sense. Again, not really, that simply means you are lazy or your team is too small. So many things are missing in this. It's literally like, have you did a layoff recently? It's like half of the feature set that you yourself are saying is like, yeah, it's gonna come by a firmware. It's like, that's not good look. Like, you may think, oh, they are polishing the hardware and all this. No, that's incomplete. Again, one or two things make sense. Like this is like, did you not finish it? So it gives an unfinished camera vibe, where it's like, you should have cooked it like at least 1 month. So that's it. And I have no idea why the heck they are the last company that does not do proper USB webcam, like default webcam. Right now they do have you have to have their app, but again, that goes back before pandemic era. Right now, almost all first party manufacturer camera will give you direct USB webcam, meaning all other application will work and you do not have to install anything. So I have no idea why the heck they're not. Again, you can use it as a webcam or a streaming camera utilizing HDMI output and HDMI capture, but I don't want to do that. Like, again, if they had that, then I would genuinely consider utilizing this camera as my next camera rather than A7 Mark V. But I'm waiting for A7 Mark V simply because while it does have SSD recording, which is like awesome, and they are so far thinking ahead, where it's like, hey, what if you do SSD recording and you do want very long battery life? It's like, hey, what if you give it a dummy battery that has USB power delivery into it, so you can use USB power while keeping your USB data port free? I'm like, whoa. And then they're like, hey, what if we do not give you USB webcam? I'm like, so it's one of those things. It's like, so close. Everything about this camera is like so close. And again, it's not even expensive. I'm not asking them to add price. They're like, okay, why you need this? People, they're like, yeah, that requires a 2 analog to digital converter per channel. I get that. That's expensive. How about USB port? You have USB port, absorb the data, you have digital data. Again, 32-bit is not analog data transmission. Again, floating data cannot be transmitted analog wise. It has to be converted digital, meaning the pipeline from here to here is digital. Just put a USB converter chip. Done. Go home. Not even asking you to do that. And then maybe a firmware upgrade that we could do that. So that's why it's like almost feels like a second best. Again, I'm not asking, gen lock, because again, that will make it more like a video camera, but audio is like so close, so close. Now, all that aside, right now, this is a good thing. This is a good thing known as competition, because again, fundamentally, you never want, no matter which company you invested in, if you are invested in Sony, if you're invested in Canon, if you're invested in Nikon, you never want only that company to do well. You always want all others company to do well, because that's the only way you can be damn sure that next camera body price would be logical, next lens price would be logical. So Competition keeps company in check, and us, we get a lot of options, and price gouging is minimized, not eliminated but minimized. So we want good competition, and L mount is one of the most open lens mount available as of now for full frame from first party manufacturers. So many lenses, and again, some people are like, hey bro, I need Leica. Like I like Leica lens, because again, whenever you're talking about photography or videography, you have to understand 50% is science, 50% is art. If you like Sigma lens, you like Sigma lens, the end. There is no oh, this is not good, does not matter. You like Sigma lens, you pay for Sigma lens, the end. If you're like, hey, I like Leica lens, I pay for Leica lens, the end. You do not have to justify it. Now this puppy has the advantage where it's proper L mount alliance, meaning it's not like, oh, you could work with it. No, it's a full-fledged alliance, meaning almost like how Micro Four Third was. Any Tom, Dick and Harry can make a legal lens for it. So that means right now you have a lot of first-party option without any restriction. So to give you a contrast, let's say you bought Canon. Canon flat out will not allow you autofocus if you have a RF mount full frame. So that's why you will not get a first-party, basically third-party lens that could work. The Canon has blocked it. And yeah, they trick, because again, people are so angry. They're like, no, we allow it. And then people looked into the fine print, yeah, only for APS-C. They have very mean this time. So Canon, now like, okay, Nikon has no limit. No, they have non-compete with lens manufacturers, meaning if Nikon is releasing 24 to 70 f2.8, other company that will support all the functions like advanced functions, autofocus and all that, they cannot do that. They must offset it. You will notice this because again, Sony has bought a stake in Tamron. Tamron never releases a camera that Sony also releases. There's always a bit of offset. They're like, okay, our lens is a bit wider, but it does not go to S-Tele. They will never make a lens that has a larger range or direct competition. Sigma can do that because Sigma is independent. So Canon has AF limitation. Basically flat out, there is no first party full frame lens available. Nikon, again, non-compete makes it almost useless. And then you have Sony. Now, does Sony have a better? Yes, comparative, but they do have penalty. Penalty is slow speed, meaning if you're like, okay, I bought A9, I'm gonna do 120 FPS. Camera can do that. Autofocus can do that. It's just that third-party lens can't do that. Third-party lens detected, reduce the speed to 15. Yeah, that's the limitation. Another pro features will be locked. For example, the breathing compensation would be locked out. So you do have some limit, but autofocus will work. At least that is the least painful out of the all three. So Panasonic is really user-friendly. I'm very happy, and the fact that they put effort into the battery box, the fact they put effort into, hey, what if you want to use USB recording while you also want to use USB power? Because again, this is a big expensive thing. You do not want to buy that. What if you just want long running on SSD? How would you do that? The fact that they thought, hey, we have dummy batteries. We have power delivery in USB. What if directly running like that? It's like, wow. So that's awesome. Like, I do enjoy that. This company is putting so much effort into it. So close. They are like so close. So it's right now, it's flat out good enough for recommendation, meaning any of you who buying that, knowing what you are going to do with this camera, you will be very happy. You will not be like orgasmic like other company, but again, it will not hurt your wallet. And the fact that you can get quality lens selection for much cheaper price without, having locked issues. This is a good option. So a lot of people can buy it. And again, that will also keep the market price to be logical. I do not expect any company to give a USB-C recording, because again, that will make people life easier. We cannot have that. But I do expect 32-bit float audio to reach camera companies maybe soon. So hopefully, again, a man can hope. So this is a good day. So this was my presentation on the new flagship of Panasonic Lumix series. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike. Press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment, because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.